ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم أن أهلكني الله ومن معي ورحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فاستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم من أصبح مأواكم غورا فمن يأتكم بماء معين صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So we had started the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and the purpose has been that we look at the story of this great prophet of Allah, and from that derive lessons for our own selves, our societies, and the globe as well, so at the global level. And there are lessons for all of us in this story of Prophet Musa. Now Prophet Musa, he is the most mentioned prophet in the Quran, and there's a reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned him this much. We have to really look at his story and take lessons inshallah from it. So yesterday we talked about Prophet Musa's birth and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power, his planning, his will is above the power and planning and the will of people. No matter how powerful they might be in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will frustrates their will, right? And we saw how Prophet Musa, so Fir'aun, he tried to prevent his birth from ever happening, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such that his birth happened right there. It wasn't the case that it was outside somewhere, and then Prophet Musa, when he became older, he came and caused a revolution. No, Prophet Musa was born exactly where Fir'aun was trying to prevent him being born. And he was raised exactly in the house of Fir'aun, basically, right? Fir'aun raised him up. And this shows us the will of Allah and how the will of these oppressors and those who cause corruption in the earth, Allah frustrates their will, and their will is nothing in front of Allah's will. So now let's move on to the next part of the story. So basically, even after Prophet Musa alayhi salam, he was born, he was in danger, right? So the guards and the people of Fir'aun, they were on the lookout, and there were perhaps rumors about a baby being born in one of the house of the Bani Israel. So Prophet Musa's mother, it was revealed to her, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to her that whenever she fears for Prophet Musa, she should put him in the river. Now, this putting in the river, we talk about it, and we've read it in the Quran, we've heard this story so many times. We don't quite grasp the amount of difficulty that is involved in it. And one of the hadiths that we had started, a couple of days ago, and yesterday we talked about it as well, describes all of these events. And basically, when Prophet Musa's mother, she goes and she has to put him in the river. There's like a box that they have made. She goes and puts him in the river, and then she pushes the box away. And we're told that a few times this keeps happening, that the box would come back, the waves in the water, it would bring the box back. And every time she would have to do it, and every time it will be extremely, extremely difficult for her. Now, the love that a mother has for her child, it's difficult for us to understand. But we're told that it was, that it had immense difficulty for the mother of Prophet Musa. That every time it was as if she's, basically giving her life up, that this beautiful child of hers, she has to, push him away. So much so that eventually we're told that perhaps the wind kind of took the box and took it away into the river. And when that happened, that Prophet Musa's mother, she could not bear this difficulty. And the verse of the Quran, it describes it as such. So this is Surah Qasas, which we had started discussing the previous few days. It's verse number 10. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأصبح فؤاد أم موسى فارغا. That Prophet Musa's mother's heart had become almost empty, right? So this is how the Quran describes it, that her heart became empty. إن كادت لتبدي به لولا أن ربطنا على قلبها لتكون من المؤمنين. Then that it was almost as if she was almost about to reveal this secret. She couldn't bear this difficulty, and she was almost about to reveal this secret if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had not given her heart comfort and taken care of her heart, basically, so that she becomes amongst the mu'mineen. So basically, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hadn't intervened and He hadn't given solace and comfort to her heart at that time, that she was almost about to reveal the secret of this baby being born. Okay, so this is how difficult it was for the mother of Prophet Musa. Now we see parallels of this in time and time again as well. One of these parallels is that the love of a parent, not a mother in this case, but a father in history, is when Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he has to let Hazrat Ali Akbar go in the battlefield. Right? You see that he, being the Imam of the time, the Hujjat of Allah upon the earth, father, but it is extremely difficult for him, right? That he starts following his son, and you all know the story, inshallah. So that is very, very difficult for Imam Hussain alayhi salam to let his son go. But for the sake of Allah, for the sake of the responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put on his shoulders, Imam Hussain did his responsibility, and he did it beautifully as well. But this aspect of letting your children go in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not limited to just prophets and their parents or the A'immah and their children, but you see that happening again and again as well, especially with these shuhada, right? So the shuhada in the wars that have happened recently after the Islamic Republic came into being, the 8-year war, you have these stories over and over again where the mothers, they would let their children go, and they would have them become shaheed, and they would also do it beautifully as well. So this is a lesson for all of us, that whenever there is a sacrifice needed for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are we going to be able to do that responsibility that Allah has asked us to do? It is very, very important as well, right? Yes, we are over here, we're in this in this nation, and yes, it's the case that this level of sacrifice is not asked of us right now. But we are told when the Imam of our time comes, and when he calls the believers to him, that at that time, there will be a lot of difficulties. At that time, there would be wars that will be fought, right? The oppressors are not just gonna say that, oh, the Imam is here and we're gonna give him the government. That's not what's gonna happen. There will be wars that will be fought, and perhaps it will be the case that we would have to sacrifice will be asked for from us or our children as well. So we have to be, inshallah, in our hearts, be ready for that. Now this idea of making the heart calm, that has parallels as well, right? So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made the heart of the mother of Prophet Musa calm, and she was able to control herself in that manner. We see that in Karbala as well, right? So with Lady Zainab, we are told that when Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he's about to go and he's about to fight his last fight, that at that time, Lady Zainab, her heart is, basically, she's very worried, she's anxious. And at that time, Imam Hussain helps her, and this calmness in the heart is, we're told that she gets that calmness as well. And you see how she then does her responsibility that Allah has put on her shoulders of saving the religion, basically. She goes in these courts without a proper hijab. They're trying to humiliate her, and she ends up with her words and her courage humiliating the oppressors. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, this aspect of calmness in the heart is not limited to these amazing personalities, right? And any believer who is close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, he can bring this calmness and peace of heart for us as well. So we shouldn't say that things like, okay, if this happens, there is no way I can bear it, right? If this happens, how can I bear it? There's no way, for example, if a death of a certain person happens, I cannot bear it. Or even if worse things happen, I can't bear it. So this thought, we shouldn't have that in our hearts. And it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wills, He will allow us to bear these difficulties as well, right? What is important for us is to look at what is my responsibility, what am I supposed to do, and then with our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our hopes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we go ahead and we do those responsibilities that are on our shoulders. And whatever then difficulties come, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow us and help us in bearing those difficulties. So we should do our responsibility and then leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should do what is on our shoulders and have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take care of whatever He will do. And inshallah, He is there for the believers. His promises are there, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps the believers, and He will help us go through whatever difficulty comes on our way, inshallah. The last point from this part of the verse is at the end of the verse. So this is verse 10 of Surah Qasas. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends the verse this way, لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, so that she is amongst the believers. Now what we can take from this is that belief, faith, right, iman, it's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts in our hearts, in the hearts of people, right? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has put it in our hearts. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the one who will increase it, inshallah, if He wills. If we do our responsibility, if we act upon the religion, then Allah will increase this. So it's a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is one of the greatest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That we are, inshallah, amongst the people of iman. It is amongst the greatest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it deserves thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That amongst His greatest blessings for us is that He has given us this iman, this understanding of Himself, understanding of the Prophet and his progeny, and belief in him and the Prophet, the Ahlul Bayt, and the hereafter. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So now this baby, Prophet Musa, the way the river takes him, and look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala works over here, right? So that day, we are told that the wife of Fir'aun, Lady Asiya, and she's spoken of very, very, very highly in the Quran, amongst the greatest of women who ever walked this earth. So Lady Asiya, she tells her husband that, it's a nice day, it's a good day, let's go to the river, and let's enjoy ourselves by the river. It's a nice day to be out. So then they're by the river and they see that there's something coming in the river. So now Lady Asiya, she could have asked one of the servants to go and grab the box, right? But she herself goes. We are told that in the riwayah, that she herself goes into the water, and she goes so deep that people were scared that she's about to drown. And she grabs this box by herself and brings it. Now, this is, amongst the work of Allah as well, that perhaps if it was the case that one of the, servants had gone and they had found a baby in the water, that they would have told Fir'aun first, and Fir'aun would have killed that baby right away, right? Knowing that it is a baby of the Bani Israel, because nobody else would, put their baby in the water and send it. Obviously, it has to be Bani Israel. Why? Because they're afraid that their babies will be killed. So, but it is Lady Asiya who goes and grabs that box. And then right away, when she sees this baby, and we're told that whoever would see this baby, they would basically fall in love with this child, right? And yesterday we talked about this, that كَذَلِكَ حُجَجُ اللَّهِ عَلَى خَلْقِهِ, that this is what the hujaj of Allah, this is what the awliya Allah are like, that people, if they have goodness in them, when they see them, when they're with them, they have love for them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts this love in the hearts of people. So now Lady Asiya herself was amongst the believers, we are told, right? So she was a very good person. She goes and she sees this baby, and she basically, falls in love with this baby. Now, we're told that Fir'aun himself, he couldn't have children, right? That biologically he couldn't have any children. And Lady Asiya, she wanted to have children. Obviously, as a woman, it's a natural instinct within women as well, that she really wanted to have a child. So now she sees this child, and the first thing she says is, "Hadha ibni," that this is my child, right? She accepts this as this child as her child right away. Okay. Now she knew as well that the child was from Bani Israel, and she knew as well that Fir'aun would want to kill this child. So she goes and she convinces Fir'aun, and she, tries very hard, and she, convinces Fir'aun to let this child live. And this is, it's strange to be deriving lessons for ourselves and our families from Fir'aun and his family, but we can gain something from this, right? Especially from Lady Asiya, who's amongst the highest of ladies and women to ever walk this earth. And the lesson is this, that, the sisters who are, inshallah, married or about to be married, and they can learn from this, that, inshallah, your husbands are not Fir'aun, right? They're not like Fir'aun. And, inshallah, they're good, they're mu'mineen. The way to deal with our spouses, the way to deal with your husbands is through love and respect. And this is exactly what Lady Asiya did. That when she wanted to convince Fir'aun, the way she did it was with love and respect, right? And he was convinced. Fir'aun was convinced. He was, trying to... Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The Fir'aun was trying to kill all these babies, and he had made it his mission. But she was able to convince him, right? She was able to convince Fir'aun. How? Not through taking a stand and saying that, if you don't do this, I will leave you and I will do all these things. No, she showed love, she showed respect, and she was able to win his heart, right? And that's a lesson for us and our sisters especially, that this is the way to be in marriage. The way to be in marriage is to, have love and respect for your spouses, and through that, you will be able to, convince them. And the other route of taking a stand and, making threats and these kind of things is not the proper way to act in marriage. And altogether, it's not just for the sisters. Altogether, the family has to be a place of love and respect, right? That this is how we are supposed to treat as men, our spouses, with love and respect. It's how we are supposed to treat our children with love and respect as well, right? And the best of examples of this is obviously the best of families, which is the Prophet ﷺ, his family, Lady Fatima alayhi salam, and her family, right? And you see this very, it's one of the things you see in this famous hadith Kisa, right? Where Lady Fatima, she's at her house, the Prophet comes, and she treats him with so much respect, right? Calling him, Rasulullah. He comes, he gives him, the blanket to sleep, to rest under. And then Imam Hasan alayhi salam comes, right? And he says salam to his mother, and look at how she speaks to him. She says, and we're told, فَقُلْتُ, Lady Fatima, she says that I said, وَعَلَيْكَ السَّلَامُ يَقُرَّةَ عَيْنِي وَثَمَرَةَ فُؤَادِي. Look at the love, right? She says salam to her son, and she's saying, you're the light, the coolness of my eyes, the fruit of my heart, right? These loving phrases. And then Imam Hussein comes and same thing, right? She treats him with so much love, so much respect. And then the final person who comes to her house is none other than Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam. Please say salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And he comes and he says, Imam Ali says, Assalamu alayki ya binta Rasulullah. So see how much respect he gives to his wife, right? And Lady Fatima then replies, Alayka assalamu ya Abul Hasan ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Again, she's calling him with his title, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Abul Hasan. You see this love and respect, basically so strongly in this family. And of course, that is a lesson for all of us, that in our families and our, family life, that love and respect is what is supposed to be predominant, right? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So inshallah, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst the true believers, put this iman in our hearts, and make us also amongst those who follow the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, have love and respect in our families, and help us in raising our children in the proper manner. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.